You're now tuned into the Throwback Show, not from Rated R Studios. We decided to switch locations for today. We're here in the gracious home of EDJ. To my left, I got my man, Rated R Randy.
In the building.
I got the artist, formerly known as Champagne Schroeder, now goes by Papa Schroeder.
Papa in the house.
And I got my man, EDJ. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm glad we took it here. Let's go.
And last but not least, it's me. Hello? It's me you're looking for.
Yo! Take this nigga out of the
Rowdy Ray. I know y'all missed us. We missed y'all too.
We had to come back for more.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But we right back like cooked crack. And I mean this.
Hey man, we got that good shit though.
Exactly.
We bringing it to you.
I don't smoke crack, motherfucker. I sell it. A great man once said.
I do both.
Oh!
All right, we got a wonderful show for y'all today. We talking NFL free agency. We got a lot of sports news to cover. You heard our last episode. It was quite a heated debate. This one a little more mellow though. We gonna get into.
Yeah, we had to turn it down a notch.
Just a notch, you know what I mean. We brought the flames when we came back, but we cooling it down. We getting back to it.
This last one was some smoke. This one's still fire.
You're damn right. Like we said, we got the shit. So let's get right into it.
And now we're about to get into some free agency talk. I think a main point of focus is talking about the exodus from Pittsburgh with all the recent players that have left there and have nothing but bad things to say about that locker room. But the main thing I've been noticing is that whether we're talking about Lev Bell, because if you look at his former contract details, the ones that the offer sheet that Pittsburgh sent him was worth well more than what the Jets offered him. But he said Big Ben still being part of that team was a major part in him not wanting to go back to Pittsburgh. Antonio Brown couldn't stand to be in the same room as the man. God, what is that man's name? James Harrison had nothing good to say about Big Ben.
Actually, he had everything good to say about Big Ben.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, article I was reading, he was saying he's the leader. He's never had a problem with Big Ben, and that basically, these dudes need to fall in line because he's supposed to be the leader. He is the head of that offense.
But you know what's really funny, though? Mm-hmm. The fact that James Harrison just keeps flip-flopping because this is the same man who, there's this small rivalry between the Patriots and the Steelers, and this man literally traded on his own team to go to the Patriots and, didn't have anything good to say about Pittsburgh after that season. Yeah. So,
I think that was more with Mike Tomlin, though. It was more of a beef between him and Mike Tomlin.
And, at that point, because, the coach is supposed to run the locker room, correct?
Oh, yeah.
And it's out of control. So now it's Big Ben's, and Art Rooney has said that's pretty much Big Ben's. Right. Tomlin is just kind of there. He's the face. But that's Big Ben's locker room.
And that goes to something that's like you kind of got to figure out what you really need to do with that. Because, one, you either do have to just shape this locker room around Big Ben and, figure out where you're going to go from there. Or you got to figure out a quarterback situation, because if he's going to keep running talent out of the building, I mean, you can't let him do that. But then, if they can work with Juju and everything's cool, James Conner had a hell of a season last year. I think they might be all right, but I think it just goes to Big Ben. Is it more of a AB and Le'Veon Bell situation, or is it Big Ben, turning into a cancer in the locker room? Or was it just all three of them? Those three just couldn't fit together. They couldn't mesh together. I mean, look at Kobe and Shaq at the end of their time in L.A. I mean, they just couldn't mesh together anymore. So
yeah, but I mean, Kobe and Shaq won titles, though. So, I mean, they couldn't mesh, but they also won championships. I mean, those three guys didn't win any championships.
Big Ben's won 2 and been to 3 Super Bowls. Without him.
So
but I think that goes back to kind of more of why they're saying this is Big Ben's locker room,
Exactly. Yeah.
But I mean, I would say that with Bell leaving and Brown leaving, I think it's looked at that way, right? I mean, it's the two divas leaving, good riddance. But I think Pittsburgh can spin it that way. They definitely can. Our team's going to be so much better now that those two are gone. Thank goodness. But those are two of the best players in the world.
Exactly.
And if two of the
It's
best
true.
players in the world have the exact same thing to say about your quarterback, that isn't getting younger, is getting older every day.
Exactly.
I mean, you
That's
know,
very
that's
true.
that's a problem. And here's the thing: if Ben Roethlisberger were Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes was running out talent of that locker room, nobody would be saying a damn thing, not one word. Because I
Yeah.
mean, the guy just won the MVP,
Yep.
and they would be saying something, but you wouldn't hear about it.
Exactly.
'Cause,
They'd suck it up and deal with
exactly.
it.
Because I mean, they realize who they got at quarterback, but Ben Roethlisberger is older. A and B, you can only lead the league in passing yards so many times and not get them anywhere with it.
Exactly.
So
I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
But you can also look at it as you've got an aging receiver that how many more years does he have left in the tank in Brown and Le'Veon Bell? I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean Pittsburgh kind of proved it this year. Is like at running back. I mean, if you plug it doesn't matter who you plug in as long as
Oh
you got
no,
the
that
right
offensive
system.
line is something else.
That's what I'm saying. As long as you got the right people to run with, it don't matter who you plug in back there.
That's
They're
also
gonna
true.
eat.
But he definitely was a difference maker. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
Because
absolutely.
if you look at it, the split stats of the season, like opposed to James Conner's first 8 games and then his last 8 games. His first 8 games, he was gangbusters out there, looking phenomenal. Like, oh yeah, we don't need Le'Veon Bell. Then defenses started figuring out and would start, stacking the box a bit more. And James Conner looked like for lack of a better word, slightly above average running back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So at that point, maybe you could blame it somewhat on offensive coordinators for not scheming it correctly. There's a list of factors, but that's it.
Or you don't have that game-changing back.
Exactly,
You
that's what I was just
you gotta
about to
have
get
a
to.
door revolving around like, okay, we got James Conner on this play. The next play we need to sub out.
Yeah, and then they kept subbing in that tight end fullback. I can't think of his name right now, but he originally played tight end in college, and now they got him running at fullback.
Oh, it's T.J. Watt.
Oh,
No. Someone else. Jeez, I can't think of his name right now. It'll come back to me.
Yeah, I can't think of his name either. But I mean, back to the point of plugging in running backs. I mean, look what the Chiefs did with Damian Williams.
yeah.
I mean, if you have a guy that can run the ball decently well and has an offensive line that's above average, I mean, you can have an impactful running back.
True.
I mean, it's not always the case, but if you have a talented team, you can pretty much plug just about anybody back there, and they can have a good year. So,
And I mean, that's almost a story through time. I mean, I don't know how many times I've heard people say, well, Emmitt Smith wouldn't be the rushing leader without his offensive line. Emmitt Smith wasn't really all that good, but at the same time, he rushed for the most rushing yards in the history of the NFL. So, I mean, I think that's kind of through time is kind of a thing where, offensive line does play a huge role in your running game.
well, I mean, look what Emmitt Smith did in Dallas, and look what he did it was towards the very end of his career. Look what he did in Arizona.
Right.
I mean,
Yep.
absolutely nothing. So,
And now in today's game with the backs they can catch, because Le'Veon Bell's just as good as a receiver as he is a running back,
Big facts.
and I think that's one of the biggest parts of it. I mean, you get those guys that can run out and catch the football, you've got you a top running back.
But I think one of the things that, we were talking in the debate this was the fact that, we think that the Steelers are playing process of elimination.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if they continue to have issues, then you look no further than Ben Roethlisberger, and that'll be answered this season for sure.
well, how much of it? Well, I agree with you on that, but how much longer before you look towards Mike Tomlin is the problem?
This is the worst part. I feel like most of Steelers, like the fan base, have realized that Tomlin is the problem. He's
Right.
the root of the problem. The reason why the team is constantly underachieving despite being stacked offensively. It's just really at this time, it's just a matter of time until Art Rooney sees Mike Tomlin as the problem, which I think will be exposed this next season.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Tomlin's days are numbered, honestly,
They
because
are.
it's been a problem for a long time, and I think just with Pittsburgh, I mean, I know they haven't had a lot of head coaches in the history of their organization. I don't know an exact number, but I know that they like keeping the same people around, and I mean it's the Steelers. They want to hold up that to that
Tradition.
level and
Yeah.
tradition exactly. So I think it just his days are numbered at the end of the day, because especially now with this situation that you got, if Big Ben becomes more of a problem this year and it doesn't work out, then you really got to look at the organization and you're like, we just let Lev Bell walk. We traded away AB for this dude that is pretty much fucked up our locker room and
Exactly, the root of the
everything.
problem.
Towards the end of his career.
Exactly, and that's the worst part because I mean, really, how much longer does Big Ben have? He came
And
in
he
with
threatens to
Phillip
retire. He's been threatening to retire for the past 3 years.
Exactly, he
Why
came
are
in the
you-
league in 2004 with Eli and Phillip Rivers. So
Exactly, that's 15 years.
Exactly.
that's-
And Phillip Rivers is honestly way better than Ben Roethlisberger at this point.
I
because
mean,
it doesn't.
he's number one
yeah.
at this point,
Right. Because, I mean, it doesn't look like Phillip Rivers ages as bad as Roethlisberger. Because you don't really... Rivers gets injured. But, I mean, you don't really hear about him, complaining about it. I mean, he's the most annoying dude to watch when you play him. Because he looks to the refs every 5 seconds. I can't stand watching Phillip Rivers play football. But he is a tough dude. And he can throw the ball. So, I mean, if you're comparing the draft class, sadly, Eli Manning is the most successful, as funny as that is. But it's true.
Out of that draft class,
Is he?
2 championships.
I mean,
Ben has two
I was about to say,
championships.
I was like,
that's
they kind
true.
he's been to
That's
one more
true.
Super Bowl than Eli.
That's true.
one more.
So
That's true.
yeah, that's debatable between
Yeah.
them two, but they're definitely both above Phillip Rivers.
Which is sad, though, because, I mean, I feel like Phillip Rivers is the better player out of those two, though. Because, I mean...
You could definitely make.
I
an
can't
argument
agree.
for
I
it.
don't agree with that. Just because what important games has Phillip Rivers played in and
That's
led
true.
his team to?
That's true, but, I mean,
Besides that AFC Championship game, he played the entire AFC Championship game against the Patriots in, I want to say 08, with a torn ACL on his drive leg.
Mhm.
And as tough as that is, that's only one game.
You're
You're right.
I hear you.
You're
I
right.
hear
But
you.
I mean, how much of that is Rivers and how much of that is the Chargers having a whole boatload of talent and doing zero with it?
That's true.
Because, I mean, how do you not... We talked about this the other day. How do you not win a championship with LT?
But
And
at the end of the day, how much of that do you put on Rivers?
Yeah, that's true.
So-
I mean, it's it's one of those hearsay things, right? I
Right.
mean, it goes back and forth, but that draft class was an interesting one to watch. They have a 30 for 30 on it, it's really cool. If you want to watch it, it's really interesting. But speaking of free agency, let's keep it going. I mean, this free agency was crazy, other than Brown and Bell leaving. You know, what I mean,
The fact that Dave Gettleman, literally the week before OBJ got traded, said, "Yeah, no, we're not going to trade OBJ." Traded him and Olivier Vernon after the year after giving them massive extensions.
Yeah.
Massive extensions.
He's putting a lot of eggs in Eli Manning's basket.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
For once again another aging, for
Yeah.
lack of a better word, problematic quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These maybe that's the theme of that draft class, just
Yeah.
problematic quarterbacks. Just Phillips just more problematic on the field rather than in the locker room.
That's true.
Yeah, at this point, I don't know. I would almost take Eli over Ben just because of the thought of maybe Ben in the locker room. I feel like that's worse than
you know what? That's
inconsistency because what if you get an 8-game stretch at the end of the season with 2008 Eli? You know what I mean?
all right. Yeah, you got a point there because at that point, do you suffer, a cancerous locker room with good on the field play? Or do you deal with someone who's, a decent locker room leader with shit on the field play? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that's very true.
Well, I mean, and here's the thing: the Giants have a chance to draft a quarterback in this draft,
Oh yeah.
and you would hope they take one. Either it would be Haskins or Locke, or I guess the third best in that option would be Daniel Jones out of Duke.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones. What's the name of that real tall quarterback from I can't remember where he's coming out of now. Jeez. The 6'7" guy. He's basically like another Josh Allen.
I can't remember.
Real tall, big arm, fast.
Oh, Tyree Jackson. Out of
Yeah,
Buffalo.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another guy that they think might go in be like the Lamar Jackson pick, like the last pick of the draft, which is to the Patriots.
I really
Who knows? Who knows? They won't, but they might. And, they need someone to replace Tom Brady. Or
I know. The thing is,
true.
I think we might be able to get a bargain bin sale on Josh Rosen.
That's
That's
true.
very true.
Because the Cardinals are basically saying, like, they only want, like, maybe a second and a fifth or something like that for Josh Rosen. I'll part with a second and a fifth easy for Rosen.
I wouldn't part with a bag of chips for Josh Rosen, but
Damn.
Really?
no, he's not.
I mean, did you see the situation he got thrown into? Literally.
But he just doesn't. I think the UCLA coach, I forget what his name was, but whoever had Josh Rosen said he's not interested in playing football. It just doesn't look like he's interested.
I mean,
in
shit,
playing
if you
football.
got hit as many times as he did, I wouldn't be interested in playing football anymore. I'd say fuck it.
No, you're right. But I mean,
Go the David Carr route.
Yeah.
That boy David Carr broke a record, I think, for getting sacked most times, like rookie season, and he was out of the league.
He has
within
a
5 years.
aging Larry Fitzgerald to throw to.
They need a whole new team.
Really, really, just
They
put the
don't
whole
need-
team in Rice at this point because,
Man.
good God, that team is just bad except defensively. That's it.
yeah.
Offensive side, and who was it? Was it Steve Wilkes that was their former offensive coordinator?
Mm-hmm.
How can you not scheme David Johnson, arguably the best running back in the league when healthy? How can you not scheme him open? How?
Because that's all they got.
Yeah.
That's the only man you got to worry about besides Larry
This is the
Fitz.
worst part.
I
You know what
mean,
he kept trying to do with him? He kept trying to run power runs just with David instead of
Yeah.
counter plays. No, he was just running power. That's it. Just meeting this man 9 men in the box. That's not what you do with David Johnson.
I mean, that's true.
All right, my bad. I'm going off on a
Nah,
tangent.
you good.
So with OBJ going to the Browns, what do you guys think the Browns are gonna do?
Browns to the Super Bowl.
I think the Browns are going to have a great 2019.
Mute Ravion's mic.
See, I never get to have fun. Nah, I'm joking, but definitely that AFC North is wide open right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Pittsburgh's
And with
looking
AB
weak.
Well, the whole situation we was just talking about, and now you throw the Browns in that mix?
Exactly. They
That's
just
not
got
looking good for Pittsburgh.
man. Because look, and like you were saying with the Steelers, like it's only a matter of time until people figure out how to shut them down.
Right.
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 It's gonna be a lot harder to do that with Cleveland.
Oh, yeah. You
They
got
can
Jarvis on
beat
one-
you. They can beat you multiple ways, and they just stacked up their defensive side. That's a contender.
In
And
the
I mean,
backfield?
well, once the 8th game hits and they get Kareem Hunt back, I mean that's
a nasty
different
backfield.
story.
That is
You got-
disgusting.
Nick Chubb carrying somebody for 10 yards, and then you're going to sub in Kareem Hunt.
Who's going to line up possibly as a slot receiver?
That's a huge slot receiver, by the way.
It sure is.
And then you've got OBJ and Jarvis on the other side.
And Jarvis is
And
coming into his
Njoku in the middle.
true position as a second receiver.
Yeah.
He's not a first receiver, second
Matter of
receiver.
fact, can we talk
I
about
disagree with that, personally. but
can we talk about a lesser known team that might make some noise next year? The Jets. Because as many faults as we had against I'm gonna say Josh Darnold. Sam Darnold, they put some weapons around. They finally gave him a good slot receiver. He still has Quincy Enunwa. He still has that downfield threat in Robbie Anderson. He just got a running back to kind of take some of the pressure off of him in Lev Bell. They've shoring up the defensive side. I mean, they can't because
They climbing up the East though. I mean, you're in second until you beat the Patriots.
I mean, yeah.
true.
But
with a year off, I mean, how effective is Le'Veon Bell going to be?
that's up for debate because his body could be rested. He seemed like he was doing a lot of off-season workout type stuff, and
I think personally, it's going to do more good for Le'Veon Bell than it is bad.
oh, for sure,
Well, yeah,
'cause,
he's completely healthy now.
Exactly.
completely, no wear and tear at all on that body.
Just don't drug test him.
For the love of God,
I don't know. Like Eric said, I don't know about the Jets with the Patriots in that division. At that point, you're fighting for a wild card spot.
I mean, I'm not
So
expecting them to
many-
be real contenders.
Look at the North. You've got still the Steelers. You've got the Browns team we were just talking about.
Ravens.
The Ravens that signed Mark Ingram. I think their offense is going to be interesting to watch. Then in the South, you still have the Colts. You got the Texans. The Titans, possibly, if they can put anything together.
No.
The Jags, if they can put something together with
No.
Foles. And then in the West, you've got, the Chiefs.
I mean, you can't just completely count out the Jags, even though they're letting that defense that was just ironclad 2 seasons ago fall apart.
Yeah.
The worst part is they pay. That's something that's going to bother me this entire season. They paid Nick Foles all that money just to put no talent around him.
Yeah.
Besides, I mean, obviously Leonard Fournette.
And Bortles, they need to do something with Bortles.
Huh?
Have they traded Bortles?
Oh, they cut him.
Yeah.
They cut him, and he got signed by the Rams.
Yeah. Bortles got a 1-year deal with the
Yep.
Rams.
Okay.
Which, you know what's the worst part? I feel like McVay might be the one guy that, I won't say can fix Bortles, but can tame Bortles.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
But for what? I mean, he's got golf.
Oh, I'm saying, like, worst case scenario, Goff goes down for, whatever reason. And
No,
he
I
can,
understand.
Hey, maybe Blake Bortles plays better in the playoffs than golf. Because
Maybe.
I didn't.
Well,
think,
we know Bortles
Ouch.
will let it fly.
yeah.
That is true. And he has some real deep threats. You know what I'm saying? Bobby Woods can get downfield. Brandon Cooks can get downfield. Shit, even Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's lacking at that point, in downfield threats.
So back to the question that Randy posed just about the Browns. What do you guys think about the Browns? I don't know if you're just meaning
10-6.
2019 or if you're talking about future in general.
Future,
In
the
general?
season, anything.
Okay.
10-6.
10-6.
10-6.
I think that's fair.
I think 10-6, 11-5, possibly, but I don't think they have long-term success with this.
What makes you think so?
I don't think Odell and Jarvis will be able to.
No.
Jarvis is better when he gets more targets, and Odell's not with that. I know Odell's not with that. Plus, you got Njoku in the middle. You've got Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb in the backfield. There are too many pieces around there for OBJ to be, not getting all the.
I disagree with that simply because it's a newer NFL, so you're talking about more possessions, and explosive potential in offense. And I think the X factor with Odell and Jarvis is their history. And I think that Odell is going to be willing to sacrifice a little bit more on the side for Jarvis than anybody. If it was anybody else, I'd be 100% with you.
And that's fair. That's totally fair because I hope that because I think the Chiefs and Browns could be an amazing rivalry to watch for the next 5 to 10 years, possibly.
Who would have thought it?
Right, bro.
Chiefs and Browns, bro.
Right. Because I could honestly see them competing for AFC championships, year in year out, and be almost maybe like on a Patriots Colts type rivalry. But I mean, we'll see it when we get there. But no, I totally agree with you. It's very possible that with their history of both going to LSU, I think you might be onto something with that. But he's got to show me something else. You know
That's
what I mean? So, and I feel like 1 year is about that window. Like, look at T.O. and Philly. Them situations. I think that 1 year is about the max you get out of a receiver like that that's not wanting to share the spotlight. And then by the time next year rolls around, or 2020 rolls around, there might be some problems. There might not though. That's just my personal opinion.
Plus,
I think that they might have some problems.
Well, and they still have a relatively new head coach too, like head coaching in Freddie Kitchens, right?
That's like new out of the box.
Yeah,
It's like new, fresh out of the box coach.
I think he has. There's an opportunity for him to establish dominance in that locker room.
Yeah, there is.
But
I mean, we're assuming that Baker Mayfield doesn't have a sophomore slump, right? Yeah. And we're assuming that he just comes out of the box kind of the same he did. He wasn't perfect. I didn't think he was that great. I mean, he's good, but he's not. He's at that point where he's like a 6.5 right now. I mean, I wouldn't put him past a 7 at this point. But he has a chance to grow. I mean, that was pretty obvious in the season. But I think, he's got such a big ego on his own that it can either hurt or help the Browns. But, I mean, now you've got OBJ with, Landry and you've got Hunt. So that team's going to have its own problems off the field, or on the field. Not that Hunt's a terrible person, but, But it just depends. It just depends on what happens with them. But I think Baker Mayfield's, ego is a problem. Throw it back to Johnny Manziel. I mean, look at his ego. They got in his way. And they're kind of the same guys with Baker Mayfield, who has a million times more talent than Johnny Manziel has. But
yeah, but if it's anybody, I would put all my chips on Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield came from a walk-on to a Heisman winner to a number 1 overall draft pick. If anyone knows how to get it done, I think it's Baker.
But who did he get benched by at Texas Tech?
Baker? I don't know, honestly. Patrick?
Yep. That's who Cliff Kingsbury benched him for.
Good move.
Yeah, I mean, great move,
Yeah.
to be completely honest. But the fact that, he fought for his spot on,
At Oklahoma.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
that, So,
Well, I mean, yeah, he wanted something tougher, right? He didn't want to
Right.
go to like North Texas because I mean he would have been the starter in North Texas, or he'd be a starter anywhere, but he wanted to prove a point at Oklahoma. But I think he kind of picked at a time where Oklahoma didn't really have a good quarterback. I mean, they had, what was his name? He's a bigger guy. He didn't really throw the ball a lot, but he ran it a whole lot. I can't remember what his name is, but I think he kind of came into a system that wasn't very good, and Oklahoma's kind of at the downslide at that point, but he kind of stepped in and filled the gap well. So is he a good quarterback? Yeah, but, he's got benched by a better quarterback before, so...
I mean, yeah,
We'll see.
but we're talking about Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
here.
1 in a million quarterback.
Like, yeah, we're talking about, like, some elite
Well,
DNA
no,
in
yeah,
that,
I'm not saying he's on the same level as Patrick Mahomes, but I'm saying, how much does that carry over to him in his NFL career? Because you see a lot of guys that come out of college and win Heisman trophies, and don't really do a whole lot. I mean, do we go the Tim Tebow route? I mean, the guy was probably the best college football player, quarterback wise, for a long time.
One of the things that I'm looking at with Baker Mayfield is who he's surrounded with.
Right.
So, I mean, you got a great backfield in Nick Chubb, and not to mention when Kareem Hunt comes back, then you have OBJ and you have
Jarvis Landry,
David Njoku. So it's tons of security blankets in there, whether he progressed or not over the offense. Even if he stayed the same player, I think that's still way better than Eli Manning throwing the ball to OBJ. So I don't think there's anything to worry about with Baker Mayfield. I think he's going to be all right.
I see what you're saying. I mean, so basically a steady line from last year is better than regression, which, I mean, you're right, and especially with the new weapons they have. They'll be interesting to watch. There's no doubt about it.
What's a statistical projection you have for Baker Mayfield this upcoming season?
I think he stays around the same range.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I'm going to say anything, he may get 30 touchdowns. He had 25 last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think that may increase just for the simple fact that he's got OBJ now. Yardage-wise, though, I'm not sure because, honestly, it just all depends on how they decide to scheme this offense because they could run for days and not pass the ball a whole lot and I think be okay. But
Or they could go the opposite way and still be okay.
Exactly. So, I mean, that I don't know. For yardage-wise, I would stick around probably like 3,000, 3,500 yards.
I was thinking he might see a severe uptick, just the fact that Kareem Hunt's going to be there. And, you get him in space, and he's a great player in space, especially with the ball, like, catching out the backfield and whatnot.
We know.
We
know.
Don't.
My bad. I know that stings a little bit.
Yeah,
Sorry.
We know. I kind of agree with you. I was going to put him at 3,200, and I was going to put him at 25 and 12.
25,
and
12.
and that's not a bad year.
No, not at all.
I can't see him getting 30 yet. Maybe next year, for sure. But I can't see him getting past 27 this year.
I could see him going for about 3,700 yards, probably touchdown. But I could see him doing 30.
Yeah.
Just because I think it's going to be a lot of passing touchdowns to the running backs. Not to mention David Njoku blossoming. So yeah, I can see about 30 with a 12 to 15 picks.
Yeah, I think that's fair. 'Cause I think he's a more aired out type of guy. He's gonna let the ball fly. So that's gonna come with some interceptions. What about you, Ray?
Honestly, I'm actually seeing him kind of pop off the off the stat sheets, like his numbers being kind of a little higher. I'm saying about 3,700 yards, 33 touchdowns, 10 picks.
Who has the better 2019, Baker or Patrick Mahomes?
Oh,
Patrick.
Pat Mahomes.
If Hill if Hill is innocent, which
I'm sorry.
no, it's true though. If he is found that he's not guilty, Patrick Mahomes has the better season by a lot.
Yeah.
If it is true, then I would say it's a lot closer than we think, but I still think Patrick has the better season.
I think he'll be good with or without Tyreek, honestly.
Only thing is,
personally,
what downfield threats does he have anymore outside of Sammy Watkins? Because you guys lost Chris Conley.
Robinson.
Yeah,
Marcus
Marcus
Robinson?
Robinson.
Okay.
I mean, they've got some young talent that just didn't play a lot last year. So I mean, they've got some guys that'll help, but it'll be interesting to see. But speaking of the Chiefs, since we're
Great segue.
How do you guys feel? This is going to be more towards Levi and Randy instead of Ravion over there. But how do you
Pats fan.
how do you guys feel about Houston being gone, Barry being gone, and now D Ford being gone? A lot of people were upset more so about D Ford being gone, but I mean at the same time, D Ford really hasn't. This was kind of his breakout year. And yeah, I know.
Season.
Yeah, and I know he's still younger, and I know that he has a couple years left that he could probably do the same thing, but it took him a long time just to get here.
Yeah.
So, was he worth letting go? Honestly, yeah. But and the other thing is, what did they do when all three of them were on the field anyway?
Exactly.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The only guy that did it, anything was Chris Jones, and he didn't even make the Pro Bowl, and he had 15 sacks. 15 and a half, something like that. Had a sack every game for the last 12 games in a row. That's crazy.
He broke a record
for
most consecutive games with sacks and I think wins. Some interesting
something like that. But I mean, I think what Kansas City has to realize is with those three guys were on the field, the Chiefs' defense was the exact same.
Yeah.
There was literally no difference. The only difference was that Justin Houston was coming off the edge.
The only difference with Barry is Sorensen wasn't on the field. For me personally, I can't stand to see
I like Sorensen. I like Daniel Sorensen.
Really?
I do like Daniel Sorensen.
How, Sway? How?
He plays hard. Daniel Sorensen plays hard.
Okay, go give that motherfucker a participation trophy and sit his ass on the sideline. The fuck? Nah, bro, because that man is always out of place. Never doing anything right.
Well, he did get the pick off Julie Edelman's finger.
Yeah, off a tip fucking pass that anyone could have done. I could have done that. All right, sorry.
Jesus.
Sorry, I don't like Daniel Sorensen. I'm sorry.
I like Daniel Sorensen.
I apologize, Daniel Sorensen. I don't dislike you as a person, just as a player on my team.
Nah, stand on it.
Hey, man, go to the Raiders. I will love you, bro. I swear to God.
Oh, Jesus.
But anyways, I think. Honestly, no. All of those moves were 110% the right thing to do. Like you were talking about D Ford. It took him this long to get this far in this system that benefits him. Now we're going to a 4-3. I mean,
it doesn't.
It doesn't. One, it doesn't benefit him. Two, why would you want to keep a player like that when he has so much value right now? Why would you keep D Ford to be? Well, what is he going to do? He's going to be a defensive end. I mean, I don't think he's really big enough for.
Here anchors the better question: did they get the best value for him?
What was it officially?
The second round pick. And I don't know. Was it this year's draft?
I think it was next year.
I think it was next year.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 2020.
That doesn't bother me at all, necessarily.
Because, I mean, they gave Marcus Peters away for a Coke and a bag of chips. So, I mean...
Basically,
it's a better trade deal than Marcus Peters.
And how does D Ford warrant a better...
Because if you look at Marcus Peters' stats, they've declined every single year.
I mean, that is true. But I think that also coincides with Eric Berry.
With Marcus Peters' stats?
When Eric Berry was over the top, Marcus Peters was untouchable.
Yeah.
Because he knew that he had coverage past him. He'd go for the pick every time.
Well, I mean, look at his stats with the first year with the Rams. I mean, they weren't...
I think that's why the Rams went out and got Eric Weddle.
Probably.
Because they want to give him that security. They realize that the only time that he is as effective as he was... It was when he had a safety over the top.
Because that was my main knock on him when people were like, oh, that's the best corner in the game. I was just like, as a pure coverage corner, no.
Yeah, no, not at all.
But as for a game breaker, he'll break the game wide open.
And I'll say it again, numbers wise, best since Deion Sanders to come out of the draft.
Thank you.
Hey, them first few years, bro, like.
those first few years. But I mean, if you go on YouTube and look at, if you just type in Marcus Peters burned,
Your boy was toasty.
These are facts.
I mean,
These are facts.
you can find a 30-minute reel.
Oh yeah.
It's
I mean, Levi knows I bring up that Texans games from what was it, 2015, 2016?
Yeah.
Where Jesus Christ, what is his name? Will
Fuller.
Thank you. Will
yeah.
Fuller the fifth
Yep.
was kicking Marcus Peters' ass
Yeah.
all game long.
I'm pretty sure that was Will Fuller's rookie year.
It was,
Yeah.
and that's how I knew about Will Fuller.
Yeah.
Shout out to him in fantasy though.
But as far as the Chiefs' moves to get Justin Houston and all those guys out of there, I agreed with it. Simply because if you look at how the NFL business is ran, it's cutthroat. It's about getting the best quality on the field with your budget still intact. So from that standpoint, if we're gonna have all those guys on the field and we're still gonna have the last defense in the league,
Exactly.
Why not? Why not bring somebody else in and
exactly.
younger? You know what I mean?
And that's what we've been crying for all season, right? To shake everything up and let's get some new schemes and new
Exactly.
players in and
That's what's
see what we
happening.
can do. Yeah,
That's what's
exactly.
And I love that they brought the honey badger in. I mean, that's
Oh, yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a great
Huge.
pickup. That's a great pickup.
That's
I mean,
huge.
it would have been cool to see him and Barry play together.
Yeah.
But Barry's at the end of his career, and I mean, he I know he's not super old, but I mean, he's got so many injuries, and he came off.
His body is old.
His body is old.
Yeah.
His body is very old. And I mean, you can only have so many Achilles injuries before your ankles and Achilles just say, okay, you're done. Like,
That nigga had cancer.
These are facts. These are facts. But honestly, will Eric Berry ever be an effective safety again in the NFL? I don't think so, personally.
Effective? You don't think so?
I don't think so.
No?
Maybe in the right scheme where he doesn't have to do a lot, but not in the sense like I'm meaning Eric Berry. EB29.
Yeah, that's gone. That's
That's
gone.
gone.
It's gone.
Yeah. Hey, did he get picked up by Dallas or no?
I'm not
I know he
don't
went and
know.
visited him.
I think
Yeah, I
he,
did hear they visited.
Yeah.
He visited, but
I think that's as far as it went.
Also, did y'all see how much Earl Thomas got paid?
Uh-uh.
That man walked away with the bag.
And there's another question. I mean, how many years does Earl Thomas have left?
Yeah, because his past
Baltimore, correct?
Yeah, he went to Baltimore. The past 2 out of his 3 years have been marred by injuries.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's not a good trend as he's getting older in age. He's not yet 30, but still, you know what I'm saying? That's not. It's just not looking good. I'll say.
Yeah.
It does not make me super optimistic about his future.
Well, and then the front office, that decision, I just don't think that's a good.
To pay him all that, they paid him, I think, $55 million.
How much guaranteed?
With like 29 of it guaranteed.
Yeah, see, no.
Yeah,
You
almost.
can't
half.
pay. You gotta pay, or you gotta play. You gotta play to get your pay.
Yeah, if he's on the field, I think that's a great move, though. If he's
Yeah,
on the
if he
field-
stays on the
yeah.
field, that's a
Oh, yeah.
fantastic move. But
And I mean, the Ravens know good defense. We know that.
that is,
So
Is it an upgrade from Weddle?
you know what? I feel like it's almost like a lateral move, but
right,
slightly,
slightly,
just a smidge.
if
Just a
you get
smidge
healthy
better.
Earl Thomas, I
Yeah,
would
healthy,
say
yeah,
I would say
upgrade.
yeah,
But
yeah.
the fact that like Eric Weddle was really consistent
And you could have paid Weddle less. So
because I
Should've-
was like the Rams didn't pay Weddle that much. I think they paid him like 20-something mil for 2
I
years.
think it's 24 for 2.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's a
So,
bargain.
Exactly.
That's a bargain.
which means he was looking to contend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what he's looking
That
for.
is true.
Can't do that with Lamar Jackson.
Hey, hold on, hey.
You
That's a fair
can't.
point.
You
That's a fair
can't.
point. That's a
Hey.
fair point.
Have you seen the man throw the ball, Ravion?
Okay, listen.
Have you
listen.
hold on? Have you seen
whoa.
seen Lamar Jackson throw a football?
I mean, was they gonna contend with fucking Flacco?
Have you
No,
seen Flacco
but that's
throw a
not the
football?
question.
Right. If you say yeah, then you would also agree that you would compete with Tim Tebow.
But he did make playoffs, didn't he?
He did, and he won a playoff game.
I'm
Right,
just
right.
saying, it's not out of the question.
Okay.
I think it is out of the question. If you look at who's the elite quarterbacks and who's leading their teams to the, like, for instance, you have Jared Goff, you have Tom Brady, you have Patrick Mahomes, you have Drew Brees. Lamar Jackson is nowhere near those class of quarterbacks.
Nope.
Yeah.
You know what though? Too, I'd like to throw this in there. What fucking receivers does he have?
Which means you're proving our point, man. They're not going to contend.
This is the worst part. Nobody expected them to contend last year because we've stopped. Flacco's going to be at the helm. So
Because they ran the ball.
Well, and exactly, it goes, who does he have to catch the ball? And they went and added Mark Ingram and not receivers. I mean, granted, he can catch the ball, but...
I pray they go after DK Metcalf. Give him somebody to throw.
He'll go before then. I mean, DK is probably...
They look defeated.
Bro, because
Maybe in a few years, if they do something, put something around him.
man,
but
he going to be broken in half by that time.
Well, you got to figure that out.
I gotta tell you, I'm glad we came back. Because I don't think people realize how hard we worked to get all this. I mean, if you guys could see how many notes Levi has, I've known Levi since we were like 10 years old. I mean, he's wrote like this his whole life. But I gotta tell you something, we're ready and we're gonna take this shit over. But we've been recording for 3 hours straight, because that's how much we want you guys to listen to our show. We appreciate you listening, and we're going to work our tails off until you guys keep listening. We're going to grow our brand, and it's going to get even better. We've got blogs online, we've got Twitter, we've got Instagram, we've got everything. All you got to do is follow us at the Showbank Show. That's simple, that's easy. Why aren't you doing it? Go do it. It's that easy. You can get all the content you want on the Showbank Show, and we're going to be back, and it's going to be kicking. We'll see you next time.